And with no drop in class at all, we go from Ed Sheeran to our Premier League insider, David Ornstein. David, good morning. Good to see you. Let's start with West Ham. A lot of chatter with that club in the recent days about David Moyes' potential successor. What should we know?
Yeah, Paul, the first thing to say here is that there is an expectation that David Moyes will be moving on from West Ham at the end of this season. That is not confirmed just yet. The deliberations continue. He did say in late February that he had been offered a contract and it would be his decision over whether that would be signed, and that he would take that decision at the end of the season. But in the time that has passed, I'm not sure that contract offer is still there, and I'm also not sure that it will be his decision any longer. I think it will probably be in the hands of West Ham, but whatever happens, contingency plans need to be formed. That's why I revealed that they were in discussions with Ruben Amorim to potentially take over if there was a vacancy. My understanding now is that Amorim does not feel that that job is for him if it comes up. They've also held conversations with Julen Lopetegui, obviously formerly of Wolves. That's at quite an advanced stage, but again, not done yet. The situation hasn't been helped by Tim Steidten, the sporting director, who's holding these talks, being kept away from the dressing room at the training ground and the stadium. This is a very delicate situation at West Ham. Let's see how today goes. Their opponents, Chelsea, have a situation of their own with Maurizio Pochettino in position for now coming up to a year into a 2-year contract with an option to extend. That situation will be reviewed in the summer. Chelsea are demanding that they qualify for Europe for the Europa League, not the Europa Conference League. And when you see names like Conte, Mourinho, Hansi Flick, Ruben Amorim linked with the Chelsea position, I'm assured they will not be taking over at Chelsea if there is a vacancy, but there isn't yet.
Switch gears now to Nottingham Forest. They did win yesterday, but Friday they were in the news for other reasons. Mark Clattenburg's short stay as their own referee analyst came to a close. Lots going on right now with Forest, isn't there?
Yeah, he resigned, Paul. He ultimately felt that he was more of a hindrance than a help to Nottingham Forest. He was also getting personal criticism, he says, for his role. And I think actually he and Nottingham Forest started to feel that the other referees in the community were acting against Forest further because of his presence, and that it was better to extract him from the situation. Meanwhile, Nottingham Forest, off the back of that now infamous Everton match, released a very strongly worded statement attacking the PGMOL. And our colleagues on Sky, there were some comments following that, talking about that statement being almost like a mafia gang. Now, Nottingham Forest are considering taking legal action against that. Subsequently, we'll bring you updates if and when we get them. Nottingham Forest have been charged with misconduct by the Football Association for some of their comments following that match. They've got until Thursday to respond to that charge. And also a crucial week ahead because Forest will learn the outcome of their appeal against the 4-point deduction for breaching financial fair play, PSR rules. I expect that outcome to be maybe Tuesday or Wednesday. And it will have a direct impact if Nottingham Forest get any points back, which they hope they will, on Burnley. If they get just 1 point back, Burnley are basically relegated with 2 games to go. But we don't have clarity on that just yet. And one thing worth pointing out is Nottingham Forest recruitment. Great win yesterday. Players like Murillo, £11 million, Callum Hudson-Odoi, £3 million, Anthony Elanga, Matt Sells, Ola Aina for free. That is a good part of Forest's story this season, even though they've got a tense week and weeks ahead.
All right, bringing us to Everton as we close here. They are getting results on the pitch recently, but they're having real major issues with their prospective new owners. What's the latest here?
This, Paul, does appear to be a deeply disturbing, maybe even a grave situation, because the approval of 777 Partners as Everton's new owners by the Premier League has still not come. A deal was agreed between 777 and Farhad Moshiri, Everton's owner, way back in September. It was meant to take 10 to 12 weeks. We still have no clarity because 777 Partners have not satisfied the criteria that the Premier League have set them to approve this deal. And day by day, we are receiving and reading and hearing reports of significant concern about 777, allegations of fraud, of financial misconduct, of unpaid debts. I must say all allegations so far have been denied by 777, but they are not commenting on the latest round of reports. People at Everton I speak to assume they are still going to be coming in, but the clock is ticking. They had representatives at Luton on Friday night, but still no news. If 777 do not get approved by the Premier League and Everton do not find alternative investors, there are suggestions that administration could be a possibility. If that came to pass, I'm not saying it will, then it would carry a 9-point deduction. If that happens before the Premier League owners meeting in June, then it would apply to this season. If it happened beyond that, it would apply to next season. We will just have to wait and see on that. At the same time, Everton are waiting for the outcome of their own appeal against the PSR deduction of 2 points, their second PSR deduction of the year, to be heard. That will happen in the last week of the season. However, it's less important now because Everton have secured their Premier League safety for the time being.
Yeah, playing well recently. They have won 3 of the last 4. Our Premier League insider, David Ornstein, thank you very much.